Hello everyone, this is my first video of my channel, so very exciting. This channel is basically all about vegan diets and mainly about the nutrition, nutritional needs on a vegan diet and dispelling myths and talking about all the misinformation that's out there, and so that's what most of this content is going to be about, so please do subscribe. This particular video is just going to go through the key nutrients and the key aspects really that you really need to look out for in order to make sure that you're a happy, healthy human being and that you're meeting all your nutritional needs. So enjoy the video, comment below, there you go. So first of all, first key nutrient, vitamin B12. So I think most of you probably know about this this vitamin already because a lot of people talk about it. I think most of the vegan YouTubers, vegan influencers out there, they do actually acknowledge that you do need to supplement with B12, which is great because there's a lot of things that they don't acknowledge, but at least they acknowledge that. So yes, you do need to supplement with B12. B12 can only be found in animal products, so hence the need for the supplement. So instead of taking a supplement, you can also make up your B12 need through foods that have been fortified with B12. So that includes things like your plant-based milks, nutritional yeast. That's a really good one. You can just sprinkle it on your food. It's these sorts of little flakes. They have a bit of a cheesy, nutty flavour. They're really nice. They can be a good sort of addition to pasta dishes or anything like that. Also things like yeast extract, like Marmite for instance. Other brands are available, obviously. Some breakfast cereals are fortified with B12. If you are going down the fortified foods route, you do want to try and make sure you're getting 2 servings per day of each food. Now, depending on what food it is, the serving looks very different. So the servings should be adding up to 3 micrograms per day. Personally, I think I would get a little bit confused about trying to tot up my servings, thinking, oh, have I actually achieved that 3 micrograms per day? So I do think for that reason it's just easier to go for a supplement. So you want to take either a 10 microgram supplement per day, or you can take a higher dose less frequently if you wish as well. So you could take 2,000 micrograms per week. The reason that if you're taking the doses less frequently, you need to take an incredibly higher dose is because it's just because of the way that the nutrient is absorbed in your body. And now for protein. Now you'll get a lot of people who are not informed about vegan diets saying that there's no way that you can meet your protein requirements on a vegan diet. That obviously isn't true. Yes, you can meet your protein requirements on a vegan diet. There used to be a sort of consensus that you had to really carefully combine different types of protein in your meals in order to achieve what you need, but that's actually no longer considered to be the case. As long as you meet your calorie needs and that you have a really wide variety of different types of plant-based protein throughout the day, you will meet your requirements. So what kind of sources have protein in them? So beans, chickpeas, lentils, nuts, nut butter, seeds, quinoa, soya products and tofu. That's a very long list and they're all great sources of protein. So just have a wide variety of those sorts of foods throughout the day. Number 3. Iron. When people think of iron, they think of red meat. It is a good source of iron, to be fair, it really is. But there's lots of plant-based sources of iron that are really good as well. So whole grains, leafy green vegetables, that's a big one. Dried fruit as well, actually, particularly apricots and raisins. A lot of breakfast cereals are fortified with iron as well. You also get a lot of iron-rich foods, which are also quite high in protein. So if you aim for those, then it's sort of, you get both nutrients in one go. It can be a good way of making sure you're getting what you need. So things like lentils, beans, chickpeas, quinoa, seeds and nuts, tofu. Those are all really good sources of iron as well. Now, one thing that I want to say about iron is that it is a very good idea to have a good source of vitamin C whenever you are having these sources of iron. So plant-based iron is absorbed into your body a little bit less easily than iron that you get from animal products, and vitamin C can help with the absorption. So sources of vitamin C are citrus fruits, that's the one that everyone thinks of, strawberries, green leafy vegetables, peppers, broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, kiwi fruit. Mainly a lot of the fruit and vegetables are really good sources. Number 4, calcium. Again, when you think of calcium, you think of milk. You remember that Got Milk campaign with the little milk moustaches? You know, they took pictures of celebrities with those milk moustaches with their glasses of milk saying Got Milk, which obviously kind of leads a lot of people to believe that dairy product is the only source of calcium. That's not the case. There are other plant-based sources, things like calcium set tofu, fortified dairy alternatives. Really, it is a good idea to make sure that they are actually fortified with calcium. So you can tell when it's sort of on the label, it will say a list of other vitamins and minerals that they've put in it. Just make sure that there's calcium on that list. Dried fruit, leafy greens, certain beans, sesame seeds, tahini, which is based on sesame seeds. Those are really good sources of calcium as well. So just make sure that you're having a mixture of those sort of things throughout the day. And also zinc. So that's not one that's really talked about very much. I think the ones that we've talked about previously are a lot more recognised than zinc is as something that we need to be thinking about. But the thing is about zinc is vegan diets are actually really high in a substance called phytates, and that actually reduces the absorption of zinc in your body. So therefore it is actually super important to ensure that you're having good sources of this in your diet. So sources. These can be beans, chickpeas, lentils, tofu, nuts, seeds, whole grains, quinoa, fermented soya, and some fortified breakfast cereals. So there you go, there's your sources of zinc. Also omega-3 fatty acids. Now you probably have heard about the need for these, because a source of omega-3 fats that is very much talked about is fish, oily fish. That would include types of fish like salmon, mackerel. My mind's gone blank as to other sources of oily fish. But again, there are vegan sources, so making sure that you have some walnuts. So actually 6 walnut halves a day would give you your omega-3 needs for the day, so that can be, you know, a fairly easy way. The thing is with walnuts, they are quite expensive though, so there's something to think about. Otherwise there's flaxseed or linseed, which again a little bit expensive, but so is oily fish, to be honest. It's annoying, these things are just generally quite expensive, but you know, having sort of a couple of heaped spoonfuls of the flaxseed or linseed on your food, so you can mix it in with your porridge, for instance, or just breakfast cereal or whatever. Hemp seeds, chia seeds, soya beans, oils such as hemp, rapeseed, flaxseed. These are all really good sources as well. Number 7, I think it is. Number 7 is iodine. So that's actually another one that I would recommend to take a supplement of. You may have heard that seaweed is a good source of iodine, and it is, except that the iodine content of seaweed really does vary quite a lot, and it can sometimes be way too high. So because of that, it's probably not a good source to go through. Again, you could, you know, think of iodized salt as a good source, but we want to try and limit our salt content as much as possible, because there's an obscene amount of salt in Western diets. So with that in mind, the best source really is just take a supplement, to be honest. One thing that is quite exciting is that plant-based milks are slowly starting to be fortified with iodine, which is very exciting because it is a really important mineral. So yes. And now for selenium. So that's another one that I don't think a lot of people talk about necessarily. Good sources are seeds, nuts, grains. Generally, Brazil nuts are a fantastic source of selenium, so actually just 2 Brazil nuts per day actually should meet your selenium needs for the day. However, the selenium content of Brazil nuts does tend to vary depending on the selenium content of the soil that it's grown in. So it can be easier just to take a supplement. And then there's vitamin D. So actually, it's not just vegans. All adults in the UK should be taking a 10 microgram vitamin D supplement per day during the winter months. So that's during the months of September through to March, roughly. And that's just because we don't get enough sunlight in the UK in the winter. So I would really recommend to take that 10 microgram vitamin D supplement. Okay, so those are the 9 main nutrients I think that we really need to be thinking about when we're taking on a vegan diet. I just wanted to say that I did actually compile a little table which I am going to show you now. It should appear on the screen. So it's basically just to acknowledge that a lot of these food sources that I've mentioned actually are good sources of multiple nutrients, if that makes sense. So it's just a table just to show which nutrients are in each food source. So you can maybe go for some food sources which are actually a good source of multiple nutrients, and it might make things easier in that way. So it's just in case that might be helpful. Also, I am now going to put on the screen the vegan EatWell guide. So that was actually made by the Vegan Society, so I'll just give you the link for their website down below. And it's just a really good visual representation, I think, of what a healthy vegan diet would look like. So it shows you the proportions of all the different types of foods that you would want to have. And, you know, you don't have to have all of these exact proportions at every meal, but it's more sort of over the course of the day, then you'd be wanting to have roughly those sorts of proportions of the different types of foods. So that can be a really useful resource as well. So thank you so much for getting through this video. Feel free to subscribe and, you know, like, comment, all of that usual YouTube stuff that people do. And I will be posting again. Just so you know, I do have a blog where I write basically all of the information in these videos down in written form. If you prefer to have a written thing to read through instead of watching these videos, you can just take a look at that as well. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time. Bye.